Hey guys, it's Tess. I wanted to go live and get another chapter out of this U Squared book. The past couple days I've had a couple, as Brian Tracy would call them, frogs I've been working on that just kind of consumed me. So I missed the past couple days. I apologize, but I am back. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to finish up with this book on U Squared. And it's not going to be finished. It's just going to be, I'm going to work on it today. And this particular 2 pages is talking about focus on ends rather than means. And it reminds me of a lot of different quotes that I learned along the way. I apologize. And some of it's talking about what I used to live by as my motto for life, which is analysis paralysis. I am a reformed analysis paralysis. I'm sure on occasion it sneaks in, but it's something that I've worked on a lot in the past few years. So in order to keep moving forward, I always look for the tools to help me move forward. Like one right now is I was recently at a mastermind, and there on the door is a sheet that they prepared for me to the action steps I need to take to get to next steps. So it's right there on the door. It's huge, and I see it every time I walk in and out of this room. But I wanted to use what this talks about, because U Squared is a book on quantum leaps. And it's talking about focus on the ends rather than the means. You don't have to know how you're going to get there, but you need to know where you want to go. And I think that's really an important thing, because I often talk about it's easier if you don't have to worry about every step along the journey. If you can just take a step and adjust, I think that's a better approach. And what finally dawned on me when I was trying to analyze why I spend so much, and that is my background. I'm analytical by nature. I was analytical for a job for years and years and years. I'm going to always be analytical, but I have to decide how much time I want to focus in that, and at what point in time it becomes redundant and not helpful in the journey. And for those that don't know, I'm a statutory financial reporting accountant for insurance industry, or that is my former career, my W-2 career. And that just meant I spent a lot of time analyzing, a lot of time reporting to regulatory boards, a lot of time I was actually like the stopping point where the financial statements came in. So I was always comparing what happened last quarter to this quarter, what happened this quarter of this year to last quarter of this year, what happened year to date versus quarter activity versus states versus lines of business versus coverage types versus catastrophes versus frequencies, all this stuff. So I kind of came by it naturally, and I had to break a habit. And I think it's really important because through the course of going to these masterminds, I heard something once that kind of stuck with me. One of the mentors said, well, I'm going to read this quote first. Right now, someone far less qualified than you is living your dreams, all because you didn't just talk about it. They didn't just talk about it. They took action. And I think that was in telling to me, because I spent too much time talking about it instead of taking action. But the thing that really hit me is one of the mentors at the very first experience said, if you are not working towards your dreams, you're helping somebody else create their dreams. Now, I'm all for everybody getting out there and create every dream you can possibly get your hands on, but you want your dream. You don't want to forever be, and the W-2 is almost in a lot of ways creating a dream for somebody else. That's just kind of the way it is. And yes, I have stepped away from that, and I'm doing things differently. Hence, part of the reason why it's been a really crazy couple of days for me, because I had, in Brian Tracy's words, a couple of frogs I was trying to get chunked out this weekend. I got through about 1.5 of them, but I'll get the other one done. But what I had to do is make adjustments. I couldn't have the full plan. I had an idea of what I wanted to accomplish, but I had to adjust as the need arose. And that is what this idea of quantum leaping is knowing when do you need to dig in and when do you need to jump. And I've often had to learn to be a jumper more. It says, it is crucial to have a crystal clear picture of what you want to accomplish. Operate with a sharply defined mental image of the outcome you seek. Rivet your attention on that spot where you are to land at the end of your quantum leap. Visualize your arrival. When you do that, it's like a magnetized spot. And the ways and the means involved in the methodology for getting there will come to you. The solutions just begin to appear and the answers will come to you. So it's almost like me. Like I said, I was at a mastermind in Sundance in early February, and I have a hot seat that I have on my door here. So every time I come in and out of this door, I see the hot seat. So it's a reminder. Okay, am I thinking about this? Have I heard from this person that I reached out to about this? Have I done the steps that are keeping me moving forward? And did I forget something? Is there another way to move forward? And today, this weekend, part of it was let's chunk out some of the stuff you got to get done that was blocking me from other things. I didn't want it hanging over my head anymore. So I feel really good about that, but they only got through 1.5 frogs. So I still have a half a frog sitting somewhere and I don't want to go find him quite yet, but I will. If you start worrying about everything that will be involved in getting from here to there, you are bound to bog down in questions. And I'm gonna share something. When I worked in the healthcare system, I worked for one of the second largest Catholic health system. And when I came on board, when you get into big organizations, they always take in these huge projects of computer system. It's either a system upgrade or it's a whole new system, and you have to go through modules of implementation as you bring these new things on. And I have 2 really good stories from my career. One of them, it was one of the insurance companies hired a company to create a software, because they always create their own software programs. Insurance is so complex, there is no canned program that anybody uses. They're always made for them. And they had hired this team to create this software program. And during the process of it being implemented, we maybe had 3 modules implemented, and there were probably about 4 more modules to go. Citibank bought up this software company, and they decided they were going to just get rid of it. But we had a project halfway done. So literally the team that was responsible for it in the office I worked at flew out, and they were hiring employees as they were being let go from that job. And they brought a couple of them on board in our offices to finish getting that system implemented. And then the other thing is, when I worked in the healthcare system, we actually self-insured a large portion of the lower part of our insurance. So we actually had an insurance company as part of the insurance of the healthcare system, and we had an offshore captive in the Cayman Islands that would actually take care of the self-insurance stuff. So I prepared the financial statements, sent it to them, and they took care of the required resident agents and stuff like that there was in the Cayman Islands. But so we had that part of it. But what was so funny is we decided to bring on a new computer system because we wanted to upgrade, and so they brought in a team to start implementing this. And so I would get called into meetings, but they had so many people in these meetings, it would turn into a war about whose need was going to be more important than somebody else's. And I am telling you, there were days I sat in 6 hours in meetings that I don't think accomplished anything, because it was a battle. It was because some people get to a point where they have control issues. They want control so much. When everybody at the table wants control, you're going to have an issue. And that's kind of what happened. And I sat back and I'm like, this isn't productive. You're not going to get anywhere if somebody doesn't say, hey, what's the easiest way to get the most people what they need, and what can we do to adjust for the person that's not fitting what they need? But there were months and months and months of that. And I haven't asked, but I wonder if it's even up now. No, it probably is. That was mean. But again, it is about taking steps, and I will say I was an analysis paralysis person. I always felt like, especially finance, because finance is the area I work in, I didn't want to make mistakes, and you don't want to make mistakes because people, that's very personal and touches you. But the thing about it is, you can also get to a point where you go so far in the other direction that you can almost lose track of where you're headed because you've gotten so far into the details that you're not seeing things. And that's something that one of the people I worked with said. She said, you end up right at the tree and I see the forest. She goes, so every once in a while we have to change positions, because she said, sometimes I got to pull you out and sometimes you got to pull me in so that we get the possible solution. So for her and I, we were great working together because we had opposite strengths so that we could adjust each other as needed. But if everybody's exactly the same, you're going to get exactly the same, and that doesn't always work. So I thought it was interesting. And like I said, when somebody pointed out to me, if you're not working on your dreams, if you're not taking the steps to create your life, then you're creating somebody else's. So knowing that will help people as they move forward. So again, this is on a U squared, and I like this. This is a short little book, and I'm thinking about, like, I've told people that I was formerly a regulatory, statutory, financial reporting accountant for insurance companies, and now I'm a life agent, and I am a student of the IBC practitioners because I want to teach people how the infinite banking process works so that they can take control of their financial future. When I was introduced to this concept, I didn't believe it. I thought it was a scam. I was going to prove it a scam. Then when I got proved wrong, I actually jumped in and have 3 policies, and I've been involved in Around the Campfire for 5 years. And when I started looking at my life, I thought, I think more people need to know about this. So again, this is kind of the Bible of the process. So anybody who wants to know more, send me a message. I have a couple people who have been reaching out to me, so please feel free, and I'll help you to find resources to help you to learn more. And I am always here to help you learn more, because I'm a little irritated that I worked in the insurance industry for 30 years and I didn't know about this process. I think it's a crying shame that we don't all know about it. So if you want to learn, I'm here to help you. But the idea of living life differently, you have to be open. That means a change in mindset. That means a change in looking at things differently. It means taking a look at where you get stuck. You know, like I said today, I had 2 big things I wanted to get done this weekend, and I got through 1.5. Oh, somebody gave me balloons. Thank you, whoever that was. Those are cool. Thank you. I don't know who it was, but thank you. But I had 2, and I got 1.5 done. So I'll just be done with that, and I'll get the rest caught up now going forward. But I had to sometimes pull myself back, because I do go into this analysis paralysis thing, and I still have to sometimes pull myself back, because I was groomed that way for many, many years. And it is. Now that I recognize it, I can adjust for it, because I didn't always recognize for it, and that was something I had to work on. But it's, I like getting more done faster, and if you have to make an adjustment later, you can. The only thing I would say about my kind of career is, if you make a decision and you're consistent with the decision, it's easy to adjust when you have to look at it later. It's not easy to adjust if you change your methodology 25 times in the process, because then you got to hunt down every 25 times. But I just think it's an opportunity to do things differently. And for me, the greatest gift I've given myself is to do things differently, is to be open, because I'm going to tell you, I fought it. The idea that there could be well, hi, Bridget and Terry. I see others on. I just don't know who it is, so thank you for being here. But you guys are awesome, because you're always there for me, and I just adore you both. And so, like I said, this is kind of like the Bible to the infinite banking process, where you take back control of your financial future by creating your own banking system with specially engineered and designed whole life policies. So if you want to learn more, please reach out to me, send me a DM, and I'll be happy to help. But, and I am actively involved. I have 3 policies, and I have been involved for 5 years. I went this path because I saw my insurance background in finance as a tool to help me maybe help other people find the way to their financial future in a different way. But okay, back to this book. It's talking about taking the jumps, taking the leaps, and being the person that you create your future instead of creating someone else's. And I think many of us were, I don't even want to say, I'm going to say it. It's almost like we were trained to be Pavlov's dog. Just keep following the same path every day. And I did it. I did it for years, even in the accounting industry. Sure, there were some variations from, during the certain times of the month based on whether you were looking at receivables or looking at financials or looking at pulling statements. There was some variety, but it wasn't creation. It was managing something that somebody else created. So it didn't give you that, accomplishment feeling. And I think we all need to feel accomplished. But in order to feel accomplished, or in order to feel like we contributed, we have to be open to pushing forward and to looking for avenues to do things differently, because we all get stuck in this. It's almost back to that quote by Will Rogers. Why am I drawing a blank on him? I should know. Albert Einstein. If you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. I used to be guilty of that. I don't want to do that anymore. So what we want to do is most of what we are doing, we've probably been stewing about for a long time. We just haven't taken the steps. So start taking the steps so that you can start making the adjustments that you need to improve your life. Probably most do know, because here's another thing. Hard copy of my book. I had to change a lot of things. Everything, I would say, every year I'm changing something. There's something more that I'm changing than I had changed the year before. You know, when I went and I had surgery, I went and had surgery to BMI of over 60. And the whole point for me to have surgery was I hoped to get off the bench for 10 years. I thought that there was probably, I really believed that if I hadn't have done what I did, I wouldn't have made it 10 years. I had a lot of medical conditions when I was a younger person, not a child, but when I got into my young adult years, there were some issues that just complicated things for me. And I really truly thought, about 9 years ago, I really truly thought that if I could have surgery, it might give me 10 years before I got called home, because I really didn't think I would be here in 10 years if I didn't. And now I see a life that's unlimited. I see opportunities, not only for myself, but to help other people and share what I've learned in the things that I've had to go through in my life, and to share what I've learned even in this financial area. I've worked in accounting and in finances since I was 18 years old. I mean, before I went into the insurance industry, I did the books for small businesses for a small accounting firm. That's how I got started, and that's where insurance grabbed me. I mean, I did underwriting for a little while too, but it changed everything. And I want to make sure that if people have a desire to reach for more, that you know it's never too late. I truly, the life I'm living now it wasn't even the dreams. I didn't have the dreams to live this life. And it really is just starting. And it's just starting because the things that I've done, I never dreamed I'd do. I went and I wrote a list, and I have attended 22 masterminds since we went into lockdown. 22. All of them money school related, because I believe so strongly in what this process is. Or I shouldn't say all money school related. Most of them, probably 80 to 90% of them, were actual events for that group. Some of them were just events that the money school crew was also at, but I've attended 22 of them. And through the process of attending 22 of them, that's where I started to see people living and doing life differently. And I started trying to mirror it. The idea of writing a book. My grandmother, when I was young, like in elementary school, I wrote an autobiography when I was in 5th grade. And my teacher returned it with notes on it that I made people laugh. I made her cry and laugh on the same page. So my grandmother always kind of wanted me to write a book, and I just never took it seriously. And if I hadn't gone down the path I have in the past 9 years, I never would have. If I hadn't gone down the path I started down 9 years ago, I'd have never left the W-2 job. I was looking for that day I could retire from Social Security. I don't care about retirement. I care about what I can do so that when I'm no longer here, I've helped people. I've left a legacy of helping people to live life differently. The generations after me have an opportunity to live life differently. It's about what I can leave, and it's not about what I can acquire. Now, there will be acquiring along the way, but it's about that legacy. And my legacy, since I was not able to have children, will be what I'm able to help people with, whether they know my name or not, but how I was able to help them or their families with what I've learned through this process. And I have to believe that if my life has changed as drastically as it has, then that was God's plan for me, is to share what I've learned on this journey. So that's why I go live, or I wrote a book, or I go attend events, is because I'm seeking to help other people, because I truly get joy when I meet these people that I've been talking to online, or it brings me joy to see things change for people in their lives. And I hope that, I know this is, I've gone in a roundabout way. See what happens when I miss a couple of days? But I'm back at it. I'll have my other frog finished up tomorrow. But I just wanted to touch base and just say, if you're stuck, remember, just take that step. You can adjust as you go. Don't try to put the 100-point plan together. remember, if you're not working towards your dreams, you're working towards somebody else's dreams. And it's never too late to change. It's time to change. There's going to be big changes in this world. There have been big changes, and it's going to continue for a period of time. And all we have to do is to arm ourselves and get ourselves ready so that we can do the best that we can. No comparison to anyone else, but do the best that you can and find where your natural path is. There might be some gift that God gave you that you haven't shared yet. And the last thing I want for myself or for any of you is to take that gift to the graveyard with you. Share it and see what you can do to help other people in this world. And I will share once again, the reason that this is so important to me is that I think many of us came here with a gift, something to share. And I think many of us get stuck in that pattern of working for the man, so to speak. And for some people, that's the perfect way. For me, it just never was. But if you have it in your heart to leave a mark in a different way, that means you got to start taking steps that are not on the same path that you've always traveled. You do have to look for that road less traveled. You do have to go up the hill or down the hill. You might have to go around some things. You may go backwards a little bit to go forward, but you have to just keep moving forward. Because I'll tell you, I never imagined. You know, I was scared. I was scared to death. The first time I went to a mastermind was because Doc V said, you guys need to get out there and meet people that will help you to move your life forward. And I wrote down on a piece of paper 3 things. One was the last inner circle in Buffalo. That was a Chris Naugle event. Then there was an experience, the very first one in Buffalo, a Chris Naugle event, and Secret Knock. There was just one a couple weeks ago in San Diego. And I sent it off to Doc V and I said, okay, should I go? Which one should I go to? And his response to me in true Doc V form was, yes. And I go, yes, what? And he goes, all of them. And I'm like, what do you mean all of them? I'm at one, pick one. And he's like, all of them. And I'm like, and I hung up and I sat down and I signed up for all 3 of them on the spot, because what I knew is that if I gave myself time, I would talk myself out of it. So I signed up for them instantly. If you had told me then that I would have attended 22 from that time, I would have had you committed. I'm sorry. I would have had to been committed with you. I would have had you committed. But I'll tell you, I've met some of the most beautiful people, and it's been very meaningful to me, the people that I've met. There's nothing more heartwarming to me than somebody that I have been following, talking to, and building a relationship with for several years. And I had 2 people approach me within the past, 3 people approach me within the past year that I felt like I knew them, but we had never met in person. And meeting the people in person has been a huge difference. And I want to see that all for you guys. If you're comfortable in the lane, if you're certain you want to just stay in the lane with everybody else, then okay, I understand that. I don't want to make things uncomfortable for you. But if you think there's more out there for you, then take the road less traveled. Look for the avenues that were leading to your dreams instead of creating the dreams for everyone else. It is like Will Rogers says, it's not what you don't know, it's what you think you know that just ain't so, that's blocking you from creating a future probably bigger than you ever dreamed. Because for me, it's bigger than I ever dreamed. The things I'm doing now were not ever my dreams. I never thought about becoming a life agent. I never thought about teaching helping families take back control of their financial future. I thought I just wanted to get as far away from that as I could, because I've been doing the same thing for so many years. I was looking for a different way to do it. And until I introduced myself to different people doing things differently, I didn't find a different way. So again, here's my book. And it is about my journey, really kind of up until the point in time where I left the W-2 world. So I've had 3 people in the past week tell me there's another book in me, so you never know. Stay tuned to that. And then for those that are, if you aren't ready to reach out to me yet, but feel free to reach out to me, because there's a good 90-minute video I can get you involved in. But this book is an amazing book too. That will actually, they're very easy to read. This one is really, really easy to read. I read it a couple times a year. But that'll also get you involved in understanding the infinite banking process. And if you do want to learn more about that, please reach out, because I can get you down that road too. And I would love to help you, because that is my goal in this world, is how many people can I help before I'm sliding into home plate, giving God a high five and him saying, nice job. You were a late starter, but nicely done. And that's my wish for you. A nicely done slide into home plate, totally exhausted because you did everything and even more than what you thought was out there for you. Thank you. Have a beautiful day, and we'll talk tomorrow. If I can learn to turn off my phone.